Hey everyone, and welcome back to another Etheria restart video. So in today's video, guys, of course, we are going to be going over the new patch. Now, I've read through this. I'm not going to read through the entire thing. You guys can go read it if you want to. But I did want to go over the highlighted notes because I think they did a lot of great things here, like a lot. So one thing that I've continued to be impressed with this development team is even if they don't address everything that the community wants, I think they end up listening most of the time, which says a lot for gotcha developers. A lot of gotcha developers do not care about the communities at all. I don't know if this one cares about their community, but at least they care about the bottom line, which sometimes correlates with what the community wants. So, anyway, uh, I did want to talk about some of the things in here and just go over them because, again, I thought they did a really good job. So, the first thing is they're releasing that new LD character, which everyone knows about, but then they also mentioned a new SR character. Now, we will go over this character tomorrow whenever it's actually in the game because I want to see what the prowess upgrades are and percentages and all that stuff. But it seems like a pretty good character, but I think it's going to be more in line with like a Bienton, like a speed clearing character, because it does like vulnerability, turn meter push to your main DPS. So it's going to be kind of interesting there. But overall, just at first glance, I don't know if this character is going to be something for, the general population on someone that they should pull. The new LD character, I think, in my opinion, looks nuts, but it is what it is. So the first big thing that they're doing that I think is going to be a huge hit for the community is they're going to have a mythic quality like pity. So every 5 victories that you get, you're guaranteed to receive 1 mythic quality shell. Now, I don't know if this is you're just going to get a mythic shell instead of all of those like fodder epic shells that you can sell, or if this means that after every 5 victories, you're going to get like the 9 matrix shells, which they're calling mythic. I think it's the former rather than the latter. They're just going to drop 1 mythic shell and the matrices are still going to be random. If that's the case, still good, but yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's a good thing for sure, but I think this is where the kind of the piecemeal stuff is coming out. But overall, still an okay thing. They're releasing more of the anti-sync echo stuff, which is whatever, and they got a new mechanic for Ember Trek. But this I thought was pretty cool. So secret stages have been added to Ember Trek. Now I don't know what they're going to do with this. I don't know if it's going to be just like a little side quest thing where you have to have specific animus. I've seen this in other games, which will be cool, like rare only animuses or SR only animuses or only red animus. That could be cool. Or what I think would be even cooler, in my opinion, is during the walking stages, which no one likes, right? Uh, during the walking stages, if they had secret rooms that you could find and then go in and get additional rewards, I think that would be really cool. But we'll see which one they do. I thought that was a nice little addition, though. So the big one here is they did do some balancing. Now, some of these balances were like, oh, okay, yeah, this character needed a balance, and then other characters they buffed, which I did not think needed a buff. Like I thought the characters probably could have used a nerf. Not that I don't like when they nerf things. It's just those characters were really good, but for some reason they thought that they needed buffed. So it was kind of quite odd. Anyway, so the first one is Hellkid. Now, Hellkid, on the surface, I didn't think it was that big of a deal, but I think it's going to be nice. So the first thing is they buffed his speed, right? So it's going from 111 to 117. So right now, uh, he can get up to 127, they're saying, whenever he gets all of his boosts. can reach 127 when upgraded to 6 stars. When he's at 127, he's going to be in line with, I think, Lily, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, so he's going to be the same base speed as Lily, which is the second fastest character in the game, behind Kloss. So that means that he's going to be able to get up that shroud barrier immediately, right? He'll be able to put up the immunity first. Now, I think this is very good considering a lot of the leads in this game are like Mio's, Kazuyo the Reverie, Obel's, where they are trying to land the stuns and the controls first. Now, since Hellkid has a little bit more speed, he can put that up without needing to have the effect res or worry about stuff being stripped. So Obel can strip, Heinrich can strip. There's plenty of dispels, which was one of the things that I wanted to have buffed on Hellkid was him to have some kind of effect resistance, or I wanted them to increase his attack so he didn't need to build as much attack on his actual builds, and you could build him with a little bit of effect resistance, which is what they did on his skill 3. So they're increasing the damage multiplier. Oh, not the damage multiplier. The uh, the size of the shield based on 300% of his own attack instead of 240. So this is big. I think this is a really nice change for Hellkid, and I think he does end up becoming pretty relevant. I think control is going to be more of a thing now with the nerf to Revelation, which I'm just going to jump to that real quick because I think that's the biggest thing about this. So Revelation, I think they did it the right way, right? Which is they only affected it in PvP, which is good. And what they did is they just had it reduce the amount of damage that it dealt by 30%. I think this is the best of both worlds because damage dealers are still going to be good on Revelation, even in PvP. And there's still going to be a couple heroes that can utilize Revelation even if they're not damage dealers. I still think Heinrich is going to be good on Revelation. You're stripping things and you're also dealing a little bit of chip damage. That's not bad. Same thing with Freya. I think Freya is still going to be really good as a speed lead attack buffer that also does damage from Revelation. But at the same time, it's taking away those 4 Revelation teams where you just put in a bunch of fast characters with multi hits, have them do 100% crit rate at like 2,000 attack, and they're wiping your board. That was not okay. You can't convince me otherwise. But this, I think, is like the best of both worlds. So I was very, very pleased with that. So anyway, let's go back to the heroes. Okay, so that was Hellkid, which I don't think he's going to be like super game breaking at that level, but still, those buffs I think now get him to be a little bit more playable just because of how fast he is, and the immunity now becomes a real thing. Where in the past it was just too hard to get him to that speed with also building attack to make use of the barrier. So on paper, this looks usable for him. Now, Holden, this is a character where I'm just like, this character is so good, but for some reason they're like, he needs a buff. So okay. So yeah, his skill 1, they're increasing his multiplier by 15% on each hit, whatever. And they're increasing the chance of him inflicting the defense down. So I mean, this is good. It's just, I think this guy's going to be a menace in PvP, but his stock certainly goes up in PvE as well. And then on his skill 1, right, his passive, his static passive. So this goes up from 10% up to 12%, and then his final damage goes up as well. So he's going to be counterattacking even more, and he's going to be doing more damage. So again, like he did not need that, but as someone who has put lattices into Holden, I'll take it. Chloros as well. So Chloros, I like this change. because one of the things I was saying was Chloros is good. The problem is the way that the game is designed. Him ramping up to something kind of counteracts how the game's designed, where the bosses also ramp up very quickly. So the long game is not really a thing that you can build for. But what they're doing now is taking this from 25% up to 35% and increasing this to 105. So that means you only need to use this 3 times for it to be at its max instead of 4. So that kind of counteracts what I was saying, where he ramps up a lot quicker to kind of play in line with how the game is and ramping up to the bosses. So this is a really good change to Chloros. And I thought he was good already, but it's nice that he just ramps up and does a lot more damage a lot faster. So very relevant buff for Chloros. Really like that. Rahu's another one where I thought he was just extremely good already. I think everyone knew how good Rahu was, but they increased his multipliers on his skill 1 to 380%. His chance to inflict defense goes up to 80% now, which is huge, huge on a skill 1. I mean, some heroes that have like a defense down on their skill 3 don't even have a chance that high. So it's very weird, but I think a lot of people who have built Rahu are going to be very happy. He's also, man, I'd be terrified to see this hero in PvP. And then they also increased his multiplier on his skill 3 to 400%. Like, again, him and Holden, I didn't understand these buffs because they were already extremely strong. So here they also buffed Romoka. So a little bit of extra damage on her skill 2, which is whatever, that's not her thing. But her skill 3 also got buffs. So she's going to do 200% damage instead of 180% on each hit. So that's an additional 60% damage. And then she also has a 100% chance to stun. I think this is a really, really good change to Romoka. One of the things that was annoying with Romoka is it was kind of hard to build her on the Inferno stage of Doki Doki. Like, it was hard to reach the thresholds. So now that you're getting 60% more damage as well as that 100% chance to inflict stun, it's another form of CC that allows you to kind of pair with your Kazuyo the Reverie and hopefully make those runs a little bit more consistent, but it will also make the damage threshold a little bit easier for her to hit so you can farm Doki Doki a bit faster and more consistent. So very nice there. Fusho, she got a minor change where her 4th dupe will just give her additional effect res instead of effect accuracy, which is good because she had nothing to do with effect accuracy. Very minor change. A lot of people won't have any impact on them. The Oboro, so they changed bleeding, which Oboro is the only character that has this. But now the bleeding is going to be based on 100% of her attack instead of 50. This might make a difference because I think you're just going to stack a lot of attack. And if each attack or each bleed is kind of dealing, 4,000 damage onto the boss each turn, it might make a difference. Who knows? I still think she's going to be very niche. I don't know if that change is going to matter, but it was certainly necessary. At least now it's at least worth testing. Gray also got a nice boost where he's just doing 40% more damage. This is great for new players because I think Gray is a great SR, really good for Doki Doki early on, still even good for Teramaton, Ethernet Rally. He's good in a lot of places. He's just outclassed by a couple of the SSRs once you get them, but still a very viable SR like that. The Chiaki also got a big boost on her skill 3. I have been a huge fan of Red Chiaki for a while. I even latticed her up. So now, instead of the 2 stacks, it's 3, which is just, this is huge. She's pretty viable in Rangokutsu now, I think, because there's only going to be 1 turn where she does not have an origami stack up, which is pretty nice. But yeah, that was a nice change as well. I thought she was already strong, but adding that additional buff is cool. This character, now Red Rin, I think got a lot better. So her shield and her skill 3 got reduced. This was a character I was interested in building anyway. So this shield gets bigger, and then this skill goes from a 4-turn cooldown to a 3-turn cooldown. So AoE, attack down, and taunt, which is super important in stuff like Ember Trek. It's also really, really strong in Rengokutsu. So you're basically using this, you're using your skill 2, you have a chance to taunt, and then you're back to this attack down and taunt again. The taunt is big in Rengokutsu, the attack down is also good. Vice is usually the attack down character there, which is good in Rengokutsu, but he has the turn meter pushback, which does nothing there. So if you can bring another form of taunt along with the shields for one turn that you're putting that up before you're back to the taunting again, I actually really like this change. The 3-turn cooldown is very, very nice. And she has a high chance of inflicting the taunt, and the attack down will be for 2 turns whenever she's fully skilled up. But I'm excited about that change. I think that was a big one. Tsutomu, this is another character that I was talking about in the characters that need buffed, but they really ramped up his damage. So his skill 2 now does 2 hits of 200%, so that's a 400% multiplier on a skill 2. And remember, he's the character that if you have him latticed up, if the enemy has any kind of debuff, he is guaranteed to crit. So you can just stack him with a lot of attack and a lot of crit damage. And then his skill 3 goes up to a 560% multiplier. And I think it's on a 3-turn cooldown once fully skilled. Oh, yeah, it's just on a 3-turn cooldown initially. So this is a big boost. I think this guy is going to be pretty interesting to build. Now, right now, the game doesn't have a whole lot of areas for him. But with future content coming out and like that, with single target damage being a thing, I could see him being a very nice option from an SR standpoint. So Marvell, they also did a very good thing here where they took his skill cooldown and reduced it from 5 turns to 4 on his skill 3, which is the big turn meter pushback, speed down, res down, putting it to 5 turns prior to global launch because it was at 4 turns during the betas, and he was very good. Now, the turn meter pushback effect is still where it was at global launch, where they nerfed it from final beta. So I think that was fine. And they also have neutered turn meter pushback a lot, just like with the bosses, passives, and things like that within the game. But I do think this certainly makes him a viable option now because he will loop back around to this a lot more often, even with the reduction in the turn meter pushback with within the dungeons. He might be usable now, even on the higher end stages. So Mizuki, this is the SR character that has the Dispel, which is, again, another character that I was kind of quite interested in building, which I've heard a lot of good things, and I didn't think she needed to be buffed, but if you're going to buff SR characters, I'm all for it. So she gets more speed, which is good. Sorry, not that she needed it, because if you do fully skill her up, she's counterattacking at the beginning of the game. But more speed is always nice because if you wanted to, you could build her faster now because she's one of the AoE dispellers. So you want them usually going first. So that's nice. And then her skill 1, she's just doing additional damage, which is whatever. It plays into her counterattacking. So like I said, I thought she was already good. But I will welcome a change to an SR character. And then they also boosted a couple of these rare characters, which is awesome because I think a lot of the rares are still very quite good and they're very easy to build with those micro lattices, right? So Sybil gets an additional multiplier on her skill 2, and she also gets a decent buff to her skill 3 because it's a 4 hitter. So the damage multiplier on this is really nice, and she's really great on Revelation. She's one of the budget options for a damage dealer on Aurora. And then she also has an increased chance for defense down. So this was really nice. Number 41, this character also got a nice boost. So her turn meter boost is going to go up from 20% to 25. That's a big deal. And that's on a 3-turn cooldown. So I'm very interested after after the maintenance. I think she's going to be very, very important for Inferno Sharon, for, the low spender free to play people to invest in. I think she's going to be a key there. So this is a nice boost. This was a character that also got nerfed prior to global launch. This was at 35%, I think. So they are ticking it back up. They can't put it to 30 because that would be way better than Chiaki the Echo. But still, let's see how this plays out. And then Kachi also got a big boost. So his stun is now no longer just a 35% chance. It's going to go up to a 50% chance. This is another character that I think is really strong in both Sharon and in Shadowflame Hoyon. The ads need to be controlled in Shadowflame Hoyon, and stunning the flower blooms in Sharon is like really key. So running this character on like Codex of Magic is super good. It has the turn meter push up, which is also really nice for the damage amplification on Sharon. So really great adjustments there. And then last but not least, they did buff Golden Lion, which I thought needed it. Now, the buff, it is a buff, but the overall impact of Golden Lion didn't change. So they're changing it from 8 stacks to 5, which means that it gets up to its stacks a lot quicker, and the damage is bumped up to 8%, and the effect accuracy is bumped up to 15% for each stack. So I believe it could have got to those places before, except now you're just getting there much faster because it's only 5 stacks, but they increase the multipliers. Now, I don't think that this is going to make Golden Lion any more relevant, but the effect accuracy is a high impact, I think. Like, just getting 2 stacks on the Golden Lion, increasing your effect accuracy by 30%. Like, this goes up to, 75% effect accuracy. So that's kind of nice. So, yeah. Anyway, let's go back to the actual patch notes here. So all of the balance changes, I think, are very good. No nerfs. I love that there's no nerfs. And I think the way that they did the Revelation Shell was the correct way to do things. So very, very happy with that. Now, they did do a couple other things that I was pretty excited about. So they did some optimizations. This is a big one. So after the update, there's going to be team formations that you save. So whenever you go into like a threshold dungeon, at least this is the way that I understand it, whenever you go into a threshold dungeon or a Grim Pursuit dungeon, there will be teams here or a button where you can have a save team and all of the loadouts that you have for like gear, right? You will just click a button and all of those characters will then have that gear implemented on them, so you can go in and you can just run this dungeon where you know the gear works. Instead of having to go into each individual character and go to your preset loadouts and change them before you go farm, man, I mean, huge quality of life. So really, really excited about that. I don't know if I missed it, but there was, oh yeah, I did miss it. The other big one is they are putting in PvP specific loadouts for the arena modes. So this is huge. Um, you can build all of your characters in their PvP gear, and it only affects PvP. So RTA, Ethernet Arena, Etherina, and the Fearless Arena, like huge quality of life. This is a big deal. Uh, Absolutely love this. This will make the game just be so much more fun, because one of the most annoying things is certainly switching the gear. So they did it in two places. The PvP alone would have been great, but the fact that they now have this here on PvE side as well is another huge deal. So very, very happy about that. Now, a couple other things that they kind of snuck in here, which I really liked, was they're lowering the requirements of Cage Rumble, which everyone knows is difficult, and people were frustrated. I saw a lot of people really upset that it was coming back, because after the two events that are currently in game rotate, Cage Rumble's coming back, but they reduce this drastically. So I think a lot more people are going to be able to get the SS rank for sure. And a lot of people are probably going to be able to get the SSS as well, because they reduced it by 1,500 points. So that's kind of big. And then this was another one that I thought was also a very big change, which was the participation rewards in Summit Arena. So this is RTA. Whenever you grant a victory, it's 200 points instead of 100. So that means you only need 10 wins a week to get the max amount of points in Summit Arena here. So this is awesome. I think this game mode is going to be a lot more fun to play now with the loadouts, but this is still pretty good for people that don't enjoy it. And then a defeat grants 50. So it may take a long time, but you can play, or you could go in to Summit Arena and quit 40 times a week, which, yes, that's annoying, but you can still get your max weekly limit of 2,000, which means you can start buying stuff out of the shop. So, guys, those are the big things. It's the buff changes, of course, and then, some minor tweaks here and there, and then big quality of life stuff. So I am very, very happy with this upgrade to the game here after maintenance. This patch is really awesome. So I want to know what you guys think. If you guys were happy, are you excited about it? I can't wait. So anyway, yeah, that's all I got for you, and appreciate you checking out the video. Catch you on the next one. See ya.